Please stand. Please stand and join me in singing Higher Place. Up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more forward, no more backward, no more spinning round and round. My life is moving ever upward. My feet are leaving the ground. Up to a higher place. Up, far beyond this time and space. Up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more downward, no more darkness, no more wandering the point of it all. My life is destined, oh, for greatness. My soul has answered the call. Up to a higher place. Up, far beyond this time and space. Up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place.
Good morning. Please be seated. Welcome to Unity of Columbia, and it's great to see all of you here today. Please give a wave to our online people. We're reminded here today that we are spiritual beings, that there is just one presence and one power. And we are created in that same force that created the whole of the universe. And so today we claim this truth together. Let's say there is only one presence and one power together. There is only one presence and one power expressing as me. Expressing as me. And I'm seeing a sea of green today because we're celebrating St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. We've got a few surprises for you today, and we are going to be celebrating also the gumbo. And I know that the men's group was here yesterday, very busy putting it all together, this secret gumbo recipe that they keep telling us about. So they've cooked up a gumbo storm, and the women have prepared a bit of a surprise for us just to round out the meal. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to come along to find out what that is. But we're in for a great treat today. And I have a quote from a famous person, and that person is Ray Hopkins, who ate the gumbo last year, and he said, "I ate it and I saw God." So let's please stand and meet and greet each other and say, "I see God today."
please join me in singing Just Reach Out. Just reach out, take my hand. Just reach out, take my hand. Just reach out, take my hand. Let's circle the earth with love. Together we'll sing till the moon comes up. We'll dance to the rising sun. So just reach out, take my hand. Let's circle the earth with love. Just reach out, take my hand. Just reach out, take my hand. Just reach out, take my hand. Let's circle the earth with love. Together we'll sing till the moon comes up. We'll dance in the rising sun. So just reach out, take my hand. Let's circle the earth with love. Just reach out, take my hand. Just reach out, take my hand. Just reach out, take my hand. Let's circle the earth with love. Together we'll sing till the moon comes up. We'll dance to the rising sun. So just reach out, take my hand. Let's circle the earth with love. Let's circle the earth with love.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Kathy Morris, and I'm your facilitator today, and happy to be here. We're grateful to everyone who contributes to our service. Welcome, everyone, to Unity of Columbia. We especially would like to welcome our newcomers. Thank you for being here, and the ushers have a packet for you today if you'd like to learn more. Today's reading is by Charles Fillmore. God as principle is the unchangeable life, love, substance, and intelligence of being. A parallel may be found in the principles of mathematics or music. Principle does not occupy space, nor has it any limitations of time or matter, but eternally exists as the one underlying cause from which come forth all true ideas. Please join me in affirming our mission, values, our vision, mission, and core values. Our vision is we celebrate a spiritually awakened world. Our mission is we inspire the awakening and practice of divine love in every heart. And our core values. In addition, we celebrate our core values knowing that we have come here to be spirit-centered and to express the values of love, peace, and connection. And now it's time for our children to gather.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Good morning. So I know today's St. Patrick's Day. It's pretty exciting. But I don't have something prepared about leprechauns or anything like that. Okay? Sorry. Instead, we're going to be talking about bread. So I have here a bagel, but it's going to represent a loaf of bread today. Okay, everybody? You want to eat some? Well, let's just wait and see. So does anyone know what this was before it was baked? Wheat? Yeah, before, but a little bit after it was wheat. After we put the flour in the big bowl, we put the salt in. What was it? It was dough. That's right. So you have all these separate ingredients, and you mix them all together to make a dough. And then what do you have to do to dough to make bread? Cook it, yeah. But what do you do when it's still soft and squishy? You got to shape it and maybe knead it, right? We have to knead it all together because you don't want your bread to have like, flour in one spot and salt just in the corner. You want it all to be mixed up, right? Because this little loaf of bread, this bagel, is all mixed up. There's not salt more in one spot than the other. There's not flour more in one spot than the other, right? It's all the same, each piece. So if one second, can you hold this one?
There is one thing that's different in each spot, though.
Well, hang on, we'll get there. Okay, we all have a piece. 1 second. Okay, so there's a few more differences, right? So this is all dough. It's all the same dough, and it all makes a loaf of bread. But look at your pieces of bread right now. Do they look exactly the same?
The shape is a bit different.
Yeah, they're shaped differently. They're definitely not torn perfectly the same.
And there are different amount of blueberries.
And there's you maybe have more blueberries than one other piece. That's possible. You have no blueberries in your piece.
Sticking right out, so I decided to grab it. That's an
Okay. Yeah. So if we imagine that this loaf of bread had spirit in it, right? Spirit of the universe in it. And we rip it all up, and each one of us is kind of like the little pieces that we just handed out, right? We all do not look the same, correct? And we're not all exactly the same. But we all have bones, and we all have skin, right? And muscles. We have all the same things that make us up, even though we all express ourselves differently and look differently. And so the spirit is expressed in all of us differently. You can eat the bagel now. And we all taste delicious, right? So something just to think about as we go about. Sometimes we can feel like maybe we're different than everyone else because maybe our hair color is not the same, or maybe, we believe different things than someone else. But at the end of the day, the spirit is within all of us the same. Same amount of spirit is within all of us. Okay, so our affirmation for today is the spirit is the same in me as the spirit is the same in you. Okay, and we'll say that together. The spirit is the same in me as the spirit is the same in you. Okay, and we'll bless our children. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
There's still a few more volunteer activities. We are particularly looking for some assistance in the kitchen. So talk to Susie if you'd like to help out. The next 2 Sundays will be focusing on Easter. Please join us for Palm Sunday next week and Easter Sunday the following week. Today, as Reverend Ann already said, is gumbo luncheon after church, and please join us for a very delicious lunch. Remember also to check out the artwork in the Solar Gallery. Our artist for the month is Ruthie Makaya. And I'm going to invite Reverend Ann to the podium now.
Cass, please come up. Well, this morning we're going to celebrate an induction, a new member to our church. And we will be adding Cass into the membership of Unity of Columbia. Membership in Unity of Columbia represents a spiritual commitment to this community. and a personal commitment to one's growth in understanding and expressing the love of God. We come together in this spiritual community to support and remind each other of the truth that we are co-creators with God, that our spiritual path is the awakening of the Christ consciousness and the Christ spirit within us. In this process of awakening, we dedicate the talents of head, heart, and hands to Unity of Columbia. And while we have a set of foundational teachings and core beliefs, values, and principles, Unity has no prescribed creed or doctrine other than the commitment to seek the truth. By inviting you, Cass, into membership of Unity of Columbia, we recognize your desire to know God, to understand, love, and live by spiritual principles. We recognize your desire to take responsibility for your own growth. And we recognize your desire to support Unity of Columbia with your presence, your participation, your prayers, and your gifts of your time, talent, and treasure. Cass, if you are ready and willing to accept these responsibilities and dedicate yourself to these principles, please say, I do.
I do.
As a spiritual community, we ask now that you affirm your dedication to support Cass, to support her in her spiritual growth, to welcome her into this community, and to behold the Christ in her. Please say, I do. And now we welcome our new member, Cass Jaco, into our community. Please give her a hand. Thank you.
Today's daily word is prayer. I feel the presence and power of God as I pray. In the revealing word, Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore described prayer as the most highly accelerated mind action known. This awareness is my comfort and assurance as I release my worldly concerns and I feel the presence of God. As I pray, I immerse myself in the silence so I can be still and know. From this place of deep communion, I relax and I focus my attention on the divine ideas of life, love, wisdom, and strength, which are always mine to claim. As these spiritual truths flourish in my consciousness, thoughts of my troubles and my worries fade from my mind. In the past, I may have believed prayer was a way of asking God for help and solace. Now I understand it as one of the best ways of helping and uplifting myself. Our Bible verse is from Psalms 46. Be still and know that I am God. And let us say the affirmation together. I feel the presence and power of God as I pray.
Heaven is open to you. Find a way to open your heart. You're so much
this moment, I surrender my life, fully knowing that my faith in divine source is full and complete. With God's gifts of imagination and clarity, my life now becomes what is possible, what is visibly on its way, what seems applicable. With certainty, I allow myself to gain access to my creative self-expression, knowing all things are possible. Currently, I am set free to access any and all concepts within the deep well of love and understanding which aligns with all of these truths. My wisdom leads me to give of my time, talents, and treasure freely and openly and willingly in ways which line up with the pure myth and stories containing divine presence and history, mine and the universal. And now, knowing that with these certainties, when I deepen entirely into this silence while breathing in the Spirit here at Unity at Columbia, I am truly and spiritually divine. And so now we're going to enter our silent meditation time. Whether you are participating with us online or bodily present here in this room, this is a time to put aside all else for just a few minutes. We widen the space within ourselves for the peace of God to deepen its hold upon us. If anxious about anything, we can let it relax. We can feel a little impatient to get on with things. We can let that go. Take a conscious breath and slow down with us for just a moment so as to sense the oneness of our Unity community. Those of you online are important to us and to our community, so stay with us as we practice the divine presence that we all share together, now and ongoing, in the silence. And now, breathe in, breathe out. And now coming back, my body is renewed, my soul is connected to truth, and my mind is together with the Christ mind. This allows me to receive only and all divine wisdoms and truth. I am filled with gratitude and consciousness here at Unity of Columbia. So it is now and ongoing, forever present in faith and divine love. And so it is.
Always, you are God.
Good morning. It's wonderful to see you all today here on this beautiful, sunny St. Patrick's Day. So I want to start out and I want to ask you a question that I want you to ponder in your mind. I want you to think about if you think, did St. Patrick believe in luck? So think about that for just a second. And by the end of my talk, we're going to circle back to this, so you'll hopefully have an answer. Well, you know it's St. Patrick's Day when McDonald's rolls out the Shamrock Shake. I hope you got yours because it's going away real soon. Or maybe you're up at Walmart or one of the stores and you see all those pesky little leprechaun decorations dancing around the aisles. Or maybe you're starting to hear people talk about the luck of the Irish. Well, we know that St. Patrick's Day is on its way when we hear all of these things. Well, I'm going to make a personal statement, and I'm going to tell you that I personally do not believe in luck, and I'm going to try to convince you today that neither did St. Patrick. So I've spent a lot of time researching the history of Ireland when St. Patrick lived, which was the 5th century. So we're talking about the 400s. This is AD. So what was kind of going on in history during that time is it was the fall of the Roman Empire. So kind of to put it into historical perspective. Now, one of the things that is interesting about St. Patrick is, unlike the Bible, which is written in the third person, St. Patrick's writings are written in the first person because they supposedly, as the story goes, they were buried with a bishop in the 6th century and where they remained for 1,200 years untouched. So now supposedly we've found these documents that are now attributed to this great man we call St. Patrick. So those 2 writings that he left behind are called the Epistle to the Coroticus, which was a letter he wrote to another community, and the Confession of St. Patrick, which is essentially the autobiography that he wrote about himself while he was on his deathbed. And that's the primary source that I will be using to rely on some of these facts about St. Patrick's. So, some people claim these events never happened. I just want to let you know that this is essentially a myth of St. Patrick. Maybe he lived, maybe he didn't. We cannot say for any certainty. But I really wanted to kind of preface my talk with that. And what you'll notice is mythology was heavily relied upon during the times of St. Patrick in the 5th century. So we can understand in looking at this story how there's a lot of this Celtic symbolism embedded in his writings, and I kind of want to pull that out as we go through his text. So, to start out, as I mentioned, St. Patrick lived in the 5th century AD. And again, this was right when the Council of Carthage had just formally affirmed the list of books to be accepted as the part of the New Testament. So we had just decided on what books we were going to include in the New Testament. The Roman Empire, however, was falling apart. It was losing power across Europe and across other countries. Now, if you think that St. Patrick is Irish, I will tell you, I'm sorry to disappoint you, that he's not. He was actually born in Britain. So his family was very wealthy. His father was a deacon and his grandfather was a bishop. So they had a town in the city and they also had a villa out in the countryside. They had lots of slaves to help them get the chores done that they needed to get done in all of these places. Well, the story starts where Patrick's father and grandfather had left to go to the city to do their missionary work and to work as actually tax collectors, and they left Patrick behind at the villa. Well, a bunch of Irish pirates showed up and collected Patrick, all of his slaves and all of about 100 to 200 people from these small villas located across the Irish countryside. So he went from being an affluent gentleman now to being a slave of the Irish. So in his youth, he actually reports that before all this happened, he completely rejected Christianity because he didn't like the tenets that were taught to him. But when he was a slave, it completely changed his mind. So to quote from him in his confession, verse 12, "Before I was humbled, I was like a stone lying in a deep mire. And he that is mighty came in his mercy and raised me up, and indeed lifted me high up and placed me on the top of the wall. And from there I ought to shout out in gratitude to the Lord for his great favors of the world, and forever that the mind of man cannot measure." And we see this, and we can link this. There's many passages in the Bible that speak of the same type of thing. I prefer to go to the one that's in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, that tells us, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And that's exactly what St. Patrick did. He renewed his mind when he was taken into slavery. Instead of thinking about how bad things were, he centered himself within God and opened himself up to see what was next for him. He also reported praying incessantly. To quote verse 16 of his confession, "I said up to 100 prayers in a day, and the night a like number. Besides, I used to stay out in the forests and out in the mountain. I would wake up before daylight to pray, in the snow, in the icy coldness, in the rain, and I used to feel neither ill nor any slothfulness, because, as I see now, the Spirit was burning in me at that time." And that is a great demonstration of our Unity Fourth principle, that prayer and meditation are our highest forms of thinking. So again, to do that, he had to understand the Unity Third principle, which tells us that we experience our world through the activity of our thinking. So he didn't feel sorry for himself. Again, he was open to seeing what his mission was. Now we know that the number 100 metaphysically represents, it's a powerful symbol of transformation. So it kind of hints at the potential for this great abundance that's about to be taking place. It signifies that you're on the right path towards achieving your goals and fulfilling your soul's mission. So then, as he's in captivity, he starts to have these really vivid dreams. And these dreams are telling him that he's got to escape the captives. And he did not have any idea how he was going to go about doing that. It didn't seem as if it would be feasible. But in the final dream, he actually heard God telling him, "Your ship is ready, go forth." So without even really knowing what he was doing, he set forth and he walked 200 miles to the nearest port. So 200 is the symbol that the universe is supporting your spiritual journey and that you are on the right path. So initially, the sailors didn't welcome him because they didn't want to get in trouble for having an imprisoned slave caught with them on their boat because they could be punished by death. So they initially said, "Sorry, no thanks." But then as he was walking away, they said, "Hey, wait a minute. We could use a hands-on deck, so come back. If you're willing to work for us, then we'll take you with us." So he got lucky and ended up getting on the boat with these sailors. They sailed for 3 days, and as we know, 3, it symbolizes spiritual completion. And then once they arrived, they spent 28 days walking through Britain because he's trying to get back to where his family originally was. 28 represents balance and harmony. So on their journey, they began to get hungry, And they're saying to St. Patrick, hey, if your God really is that good, then get him to give us some food. Well, St. Patrick said, hold up, it doesn't work like that. But he again went to his quiet place, quietly meditated, and the next thing they know, there was a whole herd of swine or pigs that came running across their path. And they ended up having some pig for dinner that night. And then they encountered some wild honey for dessert. So they were fully fed by this calling from God. So in this journey, again, St. Patrick's taken captive again because he's out there trying to do the right thing. His whole life was filled with people trying to resist him. And he was taken for captive 60 days this time. 60 is a number that represents abundance and prosperity. And then after 60 days, they just let him go. So then he spent another 10 days walking, and he finally arrived back at his villa where the whole adventure had started. Now, Pythagoreans say that 10 denotes completeness, finality, and perfection. So he's right back where he started. The story could have ended right there. But it didn't, because St. Patrick was a spiritual person at this point. And the next thing you know, he was still having these dreams. He had 2 dreams that he was supposed to return to Ireland. He was supposed to go back and help the people that prosecuted him for 7 years. And initially, he was resistant to it because you have to understand the way Ireland was set up. It didn't have one king. There was about 150 little tribes throughout the country. It had never been colonized by Rome. So in each one of these little tribes, they all had their own king. So it was dangerous for him to return because he would have to go and speak with each one of those kings and get permission to speak to the people within that community. So he saw a lot of reasons why he shouldn't be doing this. But St. Patrick reports in chapter 37 of his Confessions that I might come to the Irish people to preach the gospel and endure the insults from unbelievers. He knew that he was going to have people working against him, and it's just a fact of life. Not everybody's going to agree with us. So he received a lot of resistance and would pay the kings in order to come into their village. So, yet again, in the story, he and his companions were taken hostage. This is kind of a recurring theme. But this time he was only kept for 14 days and then released. 14 represents spiritual awakening. So he claims to have paid a lot of money to these kings, because remember, he came from this affluent background, in order to have access to these people within the community. So Patrick continued to preach Christian values and establish many Christian communities in Ireland until his death, which he demanded be on Irish soil. So I wanted to make sure that it's important to note that St. Patrick was not the first person to colonize Ireland with Christianity. He was not the last person, and he was not the most significant person. There were other people that started more churches, but he did do quite a bit of work, and that's why he's recognized in our as a saint. So metaphysically, the life of St. Patrick actually represents our own spiritual journey, because at the beginning, he was completely comfortable in his own, what we could call spiritual ignorance. Ignorance is bliss, right? So he didn't really know that he needed to do things differently until he faced those challenges. And when he did, he resisted, just like we all do when we're faced with challenges. Usually we don't just jump right on the ship, but we need to really mill it over in our minds and consider it and think about it and talk it over and think about reasons why we can resist. But it took an outside event to wake him up. Rather than focusing on terrible his life was as a slave, he focused on the goodness. He focused on the God mind. So we have a choice to make that change. To make that will change our perception of the world and will frame our mindset. And then we can see how he was moved by many dreams. Pay attention to your dreams. Your dreams are your unconscious, and they are there and they are ready and willing to connect you with the divine if you are open to that experience. So when we see things by the dreams, we may not necessarily know how we're going to be accomplishing these things. How are we going to make it happen? What are the logistics? How are we going to do it? But if we have true faith, like St. Patrick's did, then we will know that it is in that faith that we can trust, and all things will be provided for us. So I want to touch base about one last thing about St. Patrick, and it's the story of the shamrock. So let's see. So one reason Patrick may be confused with luck and the myth of the shamrock is that Patrick is claimed to have used the shamrock. We have some here and all around so you can see what they look like, but they're essentially a flower that only has 3 leaves. A true shamrock only has 3 leaves, and those 3 leaves all come to one stem. So he used the shamrock to preach the traditional Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. He said they're 3 separate beings, but they're all connected by one stem. So we, in metaphysical Christianity, look at the Holy Trinity in a different way. Charles Fillmore tells us that the Holy Trinity is actually mind, body, and expression. It's divine mind. It's the creation process that we all go through anytime we are creating anything in our lives. So the mind consists of divine ideas. God is mind. Idea is an unlimited thought of being, the Christ idea. And expression is the action or the activity, the whole spirit of God in action. So we can say that it is essentially, again, this creative process, and it's the universal process by which everything comes into existence. So let me back up to this idea about luck. I'm going to define it for you. According to dictionary.com, luck is the success or failure apparently brought by chance rather than through one's own actions. So we can see there's no room for luck in the creative process. It's all up here. It's all being created through our mind. So here's the reason that St. Patrick gets confused with luck, is because the shamrock has 3 leaves, whereas the clover has multiple. It can have 4, 5, 6, whatnot. So when they introduced the 4-leaf clover as a symbol of St. Patrick's Day, they changed the entire message of what it was he was trying to say, because they can have multiple leaves. So again, this goes back to the Bible verse in Romans 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds. Because guess what? Your power, it resides within yourself. It is within you. And we can see this in St. Patrick's story. So think about whether you personally believe in luck, or if you feel that you're lucky. That's another belief in luck, because it is so embedded in our language and our culture. For example, when somebody's getting ready to do a performance, we tell them good luck, right? Is that really what we mean? Say again? Well, yeah, okay, so that's the other thing. We're told when not to use good luck. So we have all these rules of when we can use the word luck within our culture, right? People were telling me good luck before this, but of course, before a dancing performance, we say break a leg, because luck is totally inappropriate in that situation. So it's really, really embedded. So I want you to pay attention and make sure that your language actually matches your belief system. And I had to do this myself because my son plays soccer. And I found myself before his games telling him good luck. Well, I didn't really mean good luck. What I meant was play well, have fun, do a good job, something of that nature. So I have actually had to change my vocabulary to say what I really mean instead of involving this random thing that we call luck. So to go back to answer the original question, neither St. Patrick nor myself believe in luck. It's all about being in the right place at the right time in the right consciousness, and amazing things will happen. Thank you.
Wow, I want to say thank you to Grace and our musicians that are here. Thank you to Maya for her beautiful dancing. And thank you to Kristin for her wonderful message today. This is the time in our service when we put ourselves into the law of circulation, knowing that in order to receive, we must give. This morning, you are invited to support your spiritual community in consciousness. I now ask you to take your offering, whether you give electronically, by check, by cash. Please hold it in your hand and heart as we say these words together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thank you, Russell Durham. We have two symbols of blessing today. The first is the love offering given this morning. We bless these gifts and are grateful for this opportunity to make a difference in the lives of our spiritual family and our world. Secondly is the prayer box. We expand our awareness that we are expressions of God, and we receive an abundance of all that we need to fill our soul's purpose. Now is the time in the service that we hold others in prayer. Please speak your loved one's name aloud that we can collectively hold space. For all the names on our heart, know that you are heard and seen in our collective God mind. Filled with that abundance, please rise and sing with us the prayer of protection. We have two Unity chaplains who will be available today after service to pray with you. As you move into your week, I invite you to show up in the world as you were wonderfully and beautifully made. In joy and pure love, wherever you are, God is.